Jesus' story is super watered down if you don't actually read it, bro. For real, like crazy watered down. Just like Malcolm's, just like Martin's, just like Tupac's, and the many other revolutionaries we've come across. And I say revolutionary because that's exactly what I mean. The definition of a revolutionary is somebody causing or involving a complete or dramatic change. Simply based on that alone, you understand that Jesus' story is super undersold, especially considering the fact that most people are not going to go read it. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted to have this conversation about the fear of the Black Messiah and how that shows up in hip hop. But first and foremost, I found a piece on Jesus being a revolutionary and how some traditional Christians think about it. Like that might be some of y'all, or how people view it, and they kind of break it down in a perfect way. So I want to read that to y'all first before we understand the fear of the Black Messiah and how what the FBI and all that was getting into. Okay. So this is on Theology of Work. That's where you can find it, and it's written by the Higher Calling. They say, there have been some who have sought to portray Jesus as a political revolutionary. They have sought his endorsement, if you will, of their own political causes. In response, more traditional Christians have denied the revolutionary intent of Jesus, affirming that his efforts were spiritual in focus and basically irrelevant to matters of governing and economics. Now, what they don't get, right? I'm not saying the Higher Calling, but what those traditional Christians do not understand is that in the matters of governing and economics, right? A lot of these things, when you have people in power that want to dominate and aren't actually for the people, are going to go against the spiritual because it's more of the flesh. This is why Jesus, right, was revolutionary in that sense, because his spirituality automatically was the revolution. It was automatically challenging the things that have been built in order to dominate and the causes of greed and all this stuff. That's all attached to the flesh. So anything that's spiritual and wants you to ascend is going to be revolutionary. That's just what it is, because it's changing the ways of the world. It's that simple, right? Now they say, in my opinion, both sides of this argument miss the point of Jesus' message and ministry. To be sure, he was not of your run-of-the-real political revolutionary. In fact, when the authorities came to arrest him on the night prior to his crucifixion, Jesus rebuked the efforts of his disciples to fight with weapons. He asked those who sought to seize him, "Am I some dangerous revolutionary that you come with swords and clubs to arrest me?" In the original Greek of this passage, Jesus said, "Am I a thief?" Yet the Greek word for thief was used in this time for a guerrilla movement that sought to fight against the Romans. So our translation properly renders the sense of Jesus' question. He was asking, am I your typical revolutionary? The answer is, of course, no. And this is what I mean by that, or what I understand of what they're saying. What they mean by this is there's different forms of revolution. And that's why when people, even to bring up Kendrick Lamar, when people say, why isn't Kendrick talking about this? Why isn't Kendrick talking about this? He's not really revolutionary. Kendrick is revolutionary because of the levels of consciousness and the levels of reflecting that he forces in your music. Looking at yourself helps you understand the world better. Like these are things, like music is revolutionary in that sense, right? Jesus was revolutionary in a different way. It still changed the way people saw things forever, right? They go on to say, though Jesus refrained from armed political opposition to Roman authority, he was indeed a revolutionary in other sense. He proclaimed the kingdom of God, hailing God alone as the one true king over heaven and earth. He called his followers as citizens of God's kingdom to live in a radically different way on earth. Rather than hating their enemies, they were to love them. Rather than seeking revenge, the disciples of Jesus were to turn the other cheek. No ordinary revolutionary would say things like this, but Jesus was advancing a deeper and more pervasive revolution, the overthrow of the kingdom of the evil one and the victory of the kingdom of God. And that's essentially how revolution shows up in a different way than what most people are thinking. If you can change the mind and the way people live and the conditions of people's hearts, that's the real revolution. That's what changes the action. You could be political movement, overthrow things all day, but if your heart is still out of place, you'll just become what you ended up overthrowing, right? So they continue to say, as followers of Jesus today, we should surely be concerned with and involved in matters of governing, but we misconstrue the revolution of Jesus if we make it primarily about political agenda, no matter which one we prefer. Rather, we are to revolt against the values of this fallen world, choosing instead to live by the standards of God's kingdom. Rather than seeking our own good, we are to seek what's best for others. Rather than seeking revenge, we are to forgive. Rather than seeking to dominate, we are to serve. Rather than being consumed with hatred, we are to be people who love, right? And that's exactly how you can make a major difference in this world. You see what I'm saying? That is the revolution. It could be the revolution of the mind, the revolution of the spirit, the revolution of the soul, right? Now, understanding this, we move on to the idea of the Black Messiah, right? These individuals, like the FBI, all these guys, are obviously aware of the account of Jesus and the impact of Jesus. All of these empires that are willing to are attempting to hold themselves and are weapons of the mass world superpower, right? They all understand the power of the Messiah. They all know. However they want to water it down for you or not, they understand the power of the Messiah, and they understand that others like the Messiah can appear. Now, that doesn't mean they are directly sent by God, but even I believe that these people are touched by God. They are driven by God. You see what I'm saying? So, not that they're all perfect, boom, boom, or so to say, but these figures, like these Messiah-like figures, meaning their influence, the divine ones that are sent to overthrow the old ways of thinking, the old ways of, you know what I'm talking about. They understand the power of this, and look at how they break it down, right? The infamous directive from Hoover to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah would have the power, according to the document, to bring about unity and coalition among Black political groups, right? So that was their biggest fear. They didn't want somebody to be able to do that. So here it says, for maximum effectiveness of the counterintelligence program and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals are being set. Number 1, prevent the coalition of militant Black nationalist groups, and unity there is strength, a truism that is no less valid for all its triteness. An effective coalition of Black nationalist groups might be the first step towards a real Mau Mau, a Black revolutionary army in America, the beginning of a true Black revolution. They fully understand this. And when you look at it from that perspective, if their fear, we'll read a little more first before I say that. 2, prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. They understand what they mean by electrify. Our natural ability, they fear our charisma, because our charisma can influence, right? So they understand that somebody can electrify, right? Send electricity through, inspire, rise up an entire nation of people, specifically Black people. They understand that charisma is the real danger.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you? Stop sweet talking him. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house.
And that's why they do everything they can to prevent that from taking place. And when you understand that, everything that they've been doing with music, etc., makes so much more sense. Let's keep reading. Malcolm X might have been such a messiah. He's the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspired to this position. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age. King could be a very well contender for the position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, nonviolence, and embrace black nationalism. Carmichael has the necessary charisma to be a real threat in this way. Number 3, prevent violence on the part of black nationalist groups. This is of primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be a goal of the counterintelligence program to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them before they exercise their potential for violence. Now that you understand this, you can look at a figure like, let's say Tupac. Tupac, perfect example, right? Perfect example. Somebody who comes from a lineage of people, right, who are great community builders. They know to feed the community. They know to all this different stuff. They know that you can't tell the community what to do unless you're ready to feed them. They know that all this different stuff. They understand this. He comes from that lineage. Then on top of that, he's talented actor, talented rapper, and he's extremely compassionate and passionate about his people, right? So them then seeing him go and shoot 2 police officers, right, and beat the case, they understood that that's exactly what was starting to happen. Tupac was starting to be seen in this light by the people in the streets. They understood this, and this is why they consistently worked on destroying his character in the public media, especially his music. And people ran with this, and it painted Tupac in a completely different way than what he was actually putting out there. Now, of course, there's the wildness and all this different stuff as well, but that was also a part of why he was able to reach the people that he was able to reach, because he represented something that was of that, right? And it makes so much sense when you send that individual, you try to assassinate the individual, he survives. Now you've made it even crazier. He drops a heartfelt, introspective album that touches people's hearts. Even in that moment, you were seeing this. Now you gotta do something, right? You gotta be able to tarnish his image. And this is when I believe that they went in, right? They knew what they was doing, same COINTELPRO actions, and they tried to use his influence for negativity and destruction at the maximum capacity possible, using the fact that he wanted to get revenge against him, right? And then assassinated him shortly after. You see what I'm saying? Hoping that to make that the stamp of his image. But then Tupac albums start coming out, right? And they're much more powerful messages. White Man's World comes out, Blasphemy comes out, where he starts attacking organized religion and all this different stuff. You know what I'm saying? Teardrops and closed caskets, Still I Rise. All these different Black Pride, powerful songs that are still thumping in the hearts of people today. And that's where the love for Tupac comes from, right? It's that spiritual approach to his music. And we're not saying that Tupac is Jesus. What we're saying is the kingdom of heaven is here on earth. It resides within all of us. And these abilities can show up within all of us. Not saying we are Jesus and we can turn water to wine and all that different stuff, but understanding humanity, having compassion, having empathy. You see what I'm saying? Moving with love, moving in the ways you could that are similar to Jesus. We can spark influence as well. We can spark a difference and a change as well. And living that truth, being that truth, all these different things inspire others. And their biggest fear is seeing somebody. I think, of course, it's probably graduated today. I don't think it's a black messiah. I think it's just somebody who unites people in general, unites the people in general. And that's why they try so hard to minimize the music and put all of this destruction and boom, boom, all the different stuff in the music as possible, to the point where it's like 90-10 now, 95-5. We having arguments about people making conscious albums like it's just a genre. Like that's not the core of the genre. That's how you know we far gone. And when you look at it from that perspective, Jesus is a representation of the type of individuals that can walk around this earth today, that are probably walking around on this earth today. And just because they're not on TV, you can't see them, don't mean nothing. I know it's somebody in Congo fighting back. I know it's, you know what I'm saying, like wherever, you know what I'm saying? I know it's somebody, you know what I'm saying, leading a new way in Palestine or whatever. I know, you feel what I'm saying? Because that's just the way of the world. There's always going to be two sides of that. And I feel like they want to make sure that nobody with that type of influence ever gets to a point where they can unify people, breaking through the constructs and telling people that we all on the same boat. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, I probably started yapping and got carried away, but it felt like it was supposed to feel, so I'm leaving it. But thank y'all for coming, like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. If you ain't heard the new track I did with the homie, we dropped it, Foot on the Pedal. I'm gonna put it in the title right here. You can check it out, or the related videos. Check that out. People love it. They say they remind them of like the 90s Bone Thugs or something like that. So I think y'all would love it. Go check that out. But yeah, appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch you.